Start Recruitment, and I'm joined by Akroyd, Technical Services Manager at Stagecoach, as part of our Let's Get Disruptive Reflection on 2020 interview series. So yeah, let's dive in. Big open question for you. How was 2020 disruptive for you, and what are the key learnings to take into 2021?
Wow, 2020. A challenging year, certainly from a business perspective. So obviously I work for Stagecoach, so it's public transport on the whole. That'll be trains, trams, or buses. It's been pretty dreadful, really. We've seen major revenue hits, as you would expect, with people not being quite as mobile as they normally would be. It's been quite a challenging year, and a lot of it's been dictated by government policy as to how how people are allowed to move around. But hopefully 2021 will be back to the norm, I hope.
Absolutely. So obviously no one could have anticipated a global pandemic, let's be honest. I guess from your perspective, how have you had to adapt yourself and your team?
So from a technical perspective, firstly, we're very much in transition from a technology perspective. So we're in a cloud moving towards the cloud, so a bit of a transition period for us. So we have to support both on-premise hardware and systems and services and cloud-based ones. So with everyone no longer being in the office, firstly, there's technical challenges, but there's also, just like every other business, communication challenges. We were users of Microsoft Teams before. We still are now, but we're having to use it in anger. Like this video call in 12 months ago, you wouldn't have caught me dead on one of these. I won't lie to you. Now I'm probably doing 5, 6, 7 a day, and it's now the norm, isn't it? So I think we've had some challenges as a team from just moving away from each other, working that remote thing. But I think that's a challenge for any team in any industry. But I think we've had to make changes to certain processes and whatnot that we would normally deal with from an office building that we no longer could. Some challenges, but we've adapted pretty well to them. And operationally, our uptime stayed high. So from a business perspective, that's very, very important, because even if the buses are running fewer and with less passengers, doesn't mean that we can suddenly start wholesale shutting down services that are critical for that business operation to work. So challenges, but we've overcome all of them, I would say. He says.
What would be your biggest surprise, I guess, of this year, would you say?
Aside from the fact that I couldn't go to the pub, I think the biggest surprise from a purely business perspective is underestimating our colleagues. And when I say that, I don't mean the IT colleagues. I mean the business as a whole. So a lot of our business is not particularly tech savvy all the time. Some are, some aren't. But the adoption of things like Microsoft Teams and different methods of communication, and the resiliency that the business has shown, at the end of the day, the risk to our drivers of continually running those buses when COVID was rife and still is massively high. And to continue providing that service, everyone was doing the clapping every Thursday for the NHS because of the wonderful job they're doing. And don't be wrong, they deserve all the plaudits. But quietly in the background was our bus drivers and our business getting those people to work so that those people could be cared for. And actually that resiliency and that determination and just doggedness, which I think is completely British, has been really good to see. So I think that's the most surprising thing for me this year.
Absolutely. And then I guess, secondly, so taking, any sort of key learnings from 2020, we hope obviously 2021 can be more disruptive, for the right reasons. Have you got any exciting plans for 2021? And I guess what's the focus leaning into the new year?
Yeah, so I think we had a really, really clear strategy from an IT perspective going into 2019, 2020. We're cloud first and top down from our CEO Martin Griffiths and CIO Graham Moore. It's clear that technology is the enabler, that it will be the bit that drives transport forward. And what's really a really good positive to take away from that is that the business hasn't changed tack in regard to that. We still believe that technology is the driving force behind giving people better service and making transport more accessible and customer experience. But that's not just a load of empty words that you can hear from any CIO anywhere around the world. They've continued pushing projects, which is really challenging when you've had people on furlough, or you've got reduced staff numbers, or revenues heavily down. But they've continued to try and push those projects, and I think that's the huge positive to take away from this year for me is and into next year, in that we're that strategy's not changed. We were already on that cloud first journey and driving technology to the customer, and we're going to carry on with that. So I think from my perspective, I think that's good because it means that we were making the right strategic IT decisions before this kicked in. This just happens to have given it a bit of a kick up the behind, really.
Good to see. So I guess again, looking at next year, is there anything that you and your team are planning on implementing in particular? Any precise things, I guess, that you're looking to change or improve?
So we're just going through the final throes of budget stuff for this year, for next year. That's about normal the time that we go through that. But we're assuming, not assuming, but hoping that the revenues will go back up as the vaccines kick in next year. We'll start hopefully seeing increased revenue again. But we're pushing on with our cloud first journey. So we're looking at all of our services that we provide to the business and services we provide to the customer as well, and moving them to the cloud, so out of our on-premise data centers. So we're putting a huge focus on that. A massive focus towards the start of next year is finishing off our wide area network refresh to enable depots to get a quicker internet access, and there's more to it than that, but so that will carry on, and that's carried on during COVID as well, which is again a real credit to my team for pushing on with that. And I think next year we'll be looking at things such as like telephony, enabling more home working, because let's be honest, it's going to be a thing for the future, isn't it? So yeah, we're just looking at increasing agility of the business, so quicker to market, better customer service, and just seeing where technology can help with that.
Absolutely. And then wider speaking, what do you think the business's sort of core focuses will be, next year, based on obviously conversations?
Yeah, I think the challenges that we'll get will be convincing passengers to come back to buses. The government has rightly or wrongly told people to avoid public transport because of the exposure of COVID. But I'm hoping next year the government will be back on that green journey. They want to get people out of cars. We want to get people out of cars. It's better for the environment. It's better for everyone. So I think the next year will be challenging to get passengers back on the buses and back on public transport. But I know from internal discussions, we're looking at trying to enhance that user experience, but also make it simple to understand what a bus costs and the advantages to being on the buses. So I think next year will be challenging, but from my perspective, I think we're well placed. we're still around. We're still a trusted brand, and I hope that people see that next year, and COVID disappears and gives us all back a bit of normality.
And personally, is there anything else you're looking forward to next year?
I mean, it'd be nice to see some more people. I'm a very social kind of guy, so it'd be nice to see some of my colleagues that maybe I've only seen on video for the past coming up to 9 months now. So I think I'm looking forward to that, and hopefully just driving some more change personally. I'm a big advocate of using technology to not just put it in where people IT see it's fit for purpose, but also where the business and the customer seems like they will get the value out of it. So yeah, anything that I get excited about, anything technology wise, but yeah, hopefully next year we'll be able to show even more value than we have this.
Absolutely. So I guess here's to next year. Hopefully it'll be a big one for me, personally, and obviously as a business. And yeah, nice one for jumping on and taking the time. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries, Matt. Good questions, mate. Thank you very much.